Born in Dorchester, Massachusetts, on May 23, 1721, the son of Thomas Tolman and three generations of Thomas Tolmans before that, his immigrant ancestor arriving in Massachusetts aboard the ship Mary and John in 1630. Isiah Tolman married Hannah Fuller about 1745. They had 8 children between 1746 and 1758, when Hannah died, presumably during childbirth of twins. 11 months later, Isiah married Margaret Robbins on 26 June 1759, and a year later, Isiah and Margaret had their first child, Lucy Tolman, born June 11, 1760. Over the next 23 years, they had 10 more children, bringing the count for the couple to 11, and the count for Isiah to 19. In 1769, Isiah removed his family from Massachusetts to what is now Maine, and took up 500 acres of wilderness around Lake Chickawaukee, long called Tolman's Pond, on the edge of the Rockland Bog. In the May 1967 issue of Field and Stream magazine, Lou Dietz wrote in his article entitled "The Bog" that it became legend for over 200 years that the only men who dared enter the bog with hopes of coming out alive were the Tolmans. The bog was a favorite hunting ground for the Tolmans, who over 10 generations hunted rabbit, moose, bear, and bog deer, while fending off wolves and rescuing countless men who found their way into the bog but were unable to find their way out again. During the American Revolution, Isiah Tolman served as treasurer, moderator, selectman, and member of the Committee of Safety. His civil and patriotic service is recorded with the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution as ancestor number A114547. On September 11th, Isiah Tolman executed a deed written 2 months earlier and witnessed by his son Jeremiah and 2 others, in which Isiah referred to himself as a blacksmith. In the deed, Isiah gifted 1 acre of his land in the consideration of the necessity, propriety, and conveniency of having a suitable and convenient place to bury the dead for all persons who may have occasion and desire to make use of the same. It's that ground that you stand or sit on today. The first known burials on the land Isiah gifted to the town were Revolutionary War patriot Jacob Keene Sr. and an infant child of Captain William Spear, both buried in 1788. Isiah would remain on the land surrounding what was then known as Tolman Pond, now Lake Chickawaukee, allowing the dead to be buried on and the mourners to cross over his farm to pay their respects and tend their graves until 1 month before his 69th birthday. Given the difficult times in which Isiah lived and the rugged conditions of the Maine climate and the bog itself, many would say that reaching the age of 68 years and 11 months was fortuitous. But that wasn't the end of the story for Isiah. On April 21st, 1790, Isiah gave up this 500-acre farm and his other vast land holdings. It was said you could walk from the seashore in Rockland all the way to Warren and never set foot on another's land. But he moved out to the island of Mantinicus, having now become a widower for the 2nd time. In 1794, we find him recorded as one of 7 resident taxpayers on the island. In the course of the 10 to 15 years following Isiah's land purchase there, most of the young 2nd generation married and started families. In his book, Mantinicus, Its Story and Its People, Charles Long wrote, Not to be outdone, and just to prove that matrimony held no terrors for him, Isiah Tolman, then over 75 years of age, was united with his third wife, Jane Philbrook, in 1796. They would go on to have 2 children. Lydia, born April 9th, 1802, would live to adulthood. Unfortunately, the date of Isaiah's last child went unrecorded, and the child died in infancy. Although the exact date of this last birth is unknown, we do know that Isiah was at least 82 at the time. Isiah would go on to live another 24 years on Mantinicus, dying there November 15th, 1825, at the age of 104, father of 21. Countless Tolman descendants live in this area today. Dietz said that none of the Tolmans would be what they are if not for the bog, nor would the bog be what it is but for the 10 generations of Tolmans who have been its neighbors. Perhaps only in New England are you likely to find roots so deep, men who so stubbornly refuse to renounce the land of their fathers. The Tolman story is the type of thing that legends are made of, but in this case, all of the facts are true. Isiah Tolman typifies the rugged, pioneering spirit, the fierce independence, the hardiness, and the genuine commitment to service for which Mainers have so long been known. Although Isiah Tolman is buried on Mantinicus, many of his children, descendants, friends, and neighbors are buried on this land he gifted for a place of burial now known as Tolman Cemetery. Although none have stories as long as Isiah's, all have stories worth telling and retelling, worth honoring and remembering. Tolman Cemetery is full of stories of the women and men who helped establish the area around Rockland, Maine. It is full of stories of service to community, defense of nation, and Maine spirit so aptly embodied by Isiah Tolman and personified by so many of those buried in the cemetery that bears his name. And now I, Mary Kay Felton, as Regent of Lady Knox Chapter Daughters of the American Revolution, and 5th great-granddaughter of Isiah Tolman, through 2 of his daughters, Lucy, June 11, 1760 to August 20th, 1846, and Peggy, April 28, 1773 to June 25th, 1829, have the honor of dedicating this plaque, which reads, Isiah Tolman, May 28, 1721 to November 15, 1825, served as treasurer, moderator, selectman, and member of the Committee of Safety during the American Revolution, and deeded this acre of land for a public cemetery, September 11, 1783, dedicated by Lady Knox Chapter, NSDAR, September 17, 2017. It is my pleasure to honor Isiah Tolman today, along with 24 other Revolutionary War patriots and all those interred on the land that Tolman once farmed. This cemetery project has been about much more than the restoration of broken headstones or the setting of a monument and plaques. It is about the people whose names appear on the stones and plaques we've come to dedicate. Today, we restore those persons to their rightful place in Rockland's long and rich history. During their lives, they served their community and this nation so that someday we would be able to do the same. Now we have that chance. We are the next page in the Tolman story. For my term as Regent of Lady Knox Chapter, I adopted a motto. It's a motto. When the story of these times gets written, we wanted to say that we did all we could, and it was more than anyone could have imagined. Let the tale of our work at Tolman be worth telling, and may the lives of those buried here be remembered. Thank you.